No, I'm not the only person who's late diagnosed autistic who looks back on experiences and is like, that is some of the most like autistic work I've ever done. You know what I mean? And so I'm thinking about a couple of scenarios that relate to my gram. She was my great grandmother and she passed away when I was 8. And so all of these stories that I'm thinking of come from being like very, very young. And I can only describe both of them as very, very autistic. I love my gram, and despite not having like a lot of time with her, I feel like I have like so many stories with her because she was just like larger than life. I love her so much. But there was a few instances. One, so I'd always go to her house and she'd always just kind of have like random food, you know, because elderly people do and they pick up things that like they can afford stuff. So she'd always have just like things around the house and I'd always want like a snack. And I was like, kind of a snack? And she gave me graham crackers one time. And I never had graham crackers before that. So I only had the associate. I was like, wow, these are scrumptious. Also, imagine never having a graham cracker before and you have one for like the first time. You're like, oh my gosh. But I had this graham cracker and I was like, oh, did she make these or is she just calling them graham crackers? Because is this just crackers that she has at her house? Like she makes these. Like, I don't know what I thought, but I thought it was, we called it graham crackers because they were at Graham's house. And so color me surprised one day when I am at elementary school and we have graham crackers as a snack. And I'm like, what do you mean that this is like a thing that people say? It's not just graham crackers. It's graham crackers. I understand. I've also always been really attached to things like plush and stuffed animals and blankets. And as a child, it's been lost. It literally like disintegrated. I had a baby blanket that was my favorite baby blanket and I had it for literally ever, like until I was an adult, and it just could not. It was just shredded pieces. But I loved this thing, and I would pack it around like Linus from the Peanuts. And my gram was so concerned about this that like we probably had like 5 to 10 separate instances where she would pull me aside and we would go through like full fire safety, including but not limited to. And she'd like grill me. She'd be like, and do you go inside for anything? And then I'd be like, you know, like as a kid, I'd be thinking, I was like, there might be a few things. She's like, no, you don't go back inside for anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so she was probably fair that she kept doing it because I probably would have ran back in for like my toys or my blanket or something. But she kept sitting me down and she would call me and she'd say my name and she'd say like, you cannot go back in the house. I don't know why she was so concerned about it, but it was like a multiple thing. She's like, you cannot go back. If your house catches on fire, you cannot go back and get that blanket, okay? Please tell me that you will not be going back into that home to receive your blankets if your house catches on fire. I'm just like, as a kid, like, I probably would have, but yeah, sure. Yeah. And she wanted it again, like, even if I was pretty sure I got it like the first or second time, but she wanted to like make so sure that I knew that you're not supposed to go back inside to go receive and retrieve your blankets. Rest in peace to my sweet Gram. I remember watching a lot of Whoopi Goldberg movies with her. She was obsessed with Whoopi Goldberg, and so we'd always watch them. And then I really like SpongeBob SquarePants, and so like our shared interest was that Whoopi Goldberg also apparently really likes SpongeBob SquarePants, and she like saved like a cutting in a magazine to show that like Whoopi Goldberg had like SpongeBob slippers or something. I don't know. Another side little story because I wanted to talk a little bit more about my gram because I talk a lot about my Nana because really that's like more recent grief. But I never talk about my gram and I wanted to today. So love you, Lois. Miss you, Lois. She'd probably be upset if I ever said that. Miss you, Gram. Her name's not Lois. Not to me, at least.